Hey everybody, it's Rabbit. So today we're going to be looking at a game in the Tiran 4, the Israeli T-54 essentially. In case you're wondering about the tank itself, the only real difference between it and the T-54 and like the Russian tree is that this particular one has a 30 caliber machine gun on top, and that's basically it. It uses essentially the same ammo, it has the same engine, all that good stuff. But the real topic of this video is we're going to ask the question, is this game ultimately winnable? Like, would it have been possible for us to win this? Because, spoiler, we don't. We do end up doing pretty well, but we don't actually win it. And I'm of a mind, there's like the 40-40-20, right? Like, 40% of your games, you will win regardless of what you do. 40% of your games, you will lose regardless of what you do. 20% of them, you actually have the opportunity to have a meaningful impact and change the outcome of the match. So this means that if you're a bad player, you'll probably end up with a 40% win rate. If you're a really good player or the best player, you'll end up with like closer to like a 60%, right? And obviously that varies a bit from game to game because not every game has the same level of like player agency on the outcome, or at least for you as an individual has the same level of agency. So our strategy is pretty straightforward. We're going towards the C point, and what we're going to do is we're going to wrap around this way. Going directly at it doesn't give us the best possible advantage. This is a pretty even tier. Like, I don't remember this being an up tier. I think this is pretty even tier. And because this is a pretty even tier, the armor of the T-54, it's not invincible, but there are a lot of enemies, and we'll see one later, where you can just kind of bait shots, or you are pretty resistant. And here we see they're capping C. So essentially what we're doing right now is we're in kind of a holding pattern. Like, our teammate got killed, we don't have any major presence here. So what we're going to do is we're going to look for, and here we go. There's the guy that just capped C. Turret was a little unstabilized, so we were just done moving. Here, I know there was another person, but I'm not actually sure where they are. So I kind of, at this point I do waffle for a minute. And there are several moments in here where I definitely think the winning strategy was like hold W. But at this point in the match, like, our team has enough board presence. Like, we have B. We don't have anything by A, but the enemy team doesn't really have anything by A either, so at this point in the match, it doesn't appear that critical. But I do think there is a valid argument for a lot of times the right answer is just, you know, hold W, like move forward. Because in that instance, if we had just hit this timing a little earlier, we would have got this Su-122 earlier. This is where I get kind of annoyed by the bad gun depression, because I can't actually hit him in this angle. So I have to move up a little more, wait for the gun to settle. Blah, 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 blah. Like, it gets kind of tedious. And here, like, I'm not sure if we actually got his gunner. Like, I'm looking at the list, and I'm like, we definitely didn't get his driver, because he's moving. But, man, whatever. And there's his gunner. I'm not sure, like, I think he had an unstabilized gun too, so he didn't really have any chance of hitting his gun on me before I got my second shot off, but it's fine. So, up 2 kills. We've cleared the way for B. The reason we're not going directly for B is because we're trying to go for the cutoff, right? Like, the core strategy, like, we're trying to clear it for our teammates to go to B, because if we just go to B and die, then it doesn't really benefit anyone. So I do actually defend this. I think this was the right call. Is pushing forward and creating room for our team rather than just going straight for the cap, because once we create room for our team can easily cap. And I do think there is merit to the idea, and here's where I hear this guy, and I'm like, oh crap, we got company. And as soon as I kind of bounce that shot and see his tank, I'm like, it's a T-44, so all I have to do is point my barrel off to the side to keep him from barreling me. And you're like, just didn't have a great shot, and there it is. And he bounces off my hull and I kill him. I wasn't intentionally trying to bait a shot, but I know in that scenario, like, his only option to the front of a T-54 is to try and barrel me. He doesn't have a great choice there. And here, I'm kind of holding the zone until my team can cap. Now, I am debating at this point whether or not it would have been a better idea to just push forward, right? Like, we've created room for our team, sure, and our team can cap. But it's also becoming apparent that we have no board presence anywhere else. Like, we've lost B, we have no board presence anywhere near A. Like I really don't, in retrospect, it's like, it's easy to see in hindsight this was the wrong call. But it's like, is gaining control and pushing out the priority? Debatable. As soon as we have enough presence towards B, I do start pushing out. As soon as we cap C and have the presence over here, I do start pushing out. But I definitely think there's a valid argument for, like, I should have started pushing out a lot earlier. Because I can maintain control of this area without necessarily being in that position, and I can get better lines of sight to more targets. So, then here we start pushing out. This is where I see this guy, and I'm like, oh. But I think IS-2 really not happy seeing him T-54. And here we're kind of moving up, and we're like, alright, let's go to this area, and I see this guy, and I'm like, this is where it's like the gun depression annoys the crap out of me again. Yeah, I have the lurch forward with this unstabilized gun. Managed to get him anyway. That was actually not, that wasn't the best shot. We got kind of lucky that he had ammo in his hole there. Well, we're up to 5 kills. Our team has control of C. We're pushing out to create space. And this is another example of, like, yeah, like I keep asking this question. It's like, when do you hold W? When do you stop? Because just hold W and click on the red things is not the best possible strategy. Because a lot of times this will put you just wandering in head first into bad positions where you don't have a good out and you don't know what you're going to do with that position. But here it's like, yeah, we're technically securing C, but like we're losing, so securing C doesn't help. Like, it's not beneficial to secure a zone if you need an additional zone to win. If we had control over B or A, I think there would be a valid argument that securing C is the right call. And, like, guarding this area is the right call. But, like, given context where we have so little board presence around B, and we have so few prospects to capture B, I actually think this is the wrong call. Like, in retrospect, I'm looking at the board, and I'm like, I understand my thought process of, like, if we can secure C, but that thought process is entirely predicated on the idea that securing C will give us the breathing room to push out towards B, and that's just not happening. Like, our team has not been successful up to this point. So I don't think that's a reasonable thought process, or not necessarily the right way to put it. I don't think that thought process is, like, fully fleshed out. Because, like, right now, we're essentially trying to look for people around B, people around A. Like, we're trying to get picks. The problem is, like, we're so low on tickets that, like, this is... Getting picks, I have no idea how that bounced. Like I think there was something weird going on with the volumetric and the side skirts. If that had been a hair higher, it probably would have killed him. But, like, going back to the thought process, like, if we had more tickets or we had more map presence, I think this is the right call. But in context of the current situation, I think this is definitely wrong. Like, it's too slow of a strategy for a situation where you're just demonstrably behind. And here, like, I check over here once again. I think, like, that IS-2 made me a little paranoid that maybe there was some hard push towards C, but, like, the enemy never makes a serious attempt to go for C, to the point where, like, it actually warrants this level of, like, awareness on my part. Like, I'm spending too much attention on this. So, I definitely think that is a mistake on my part. Like, and reviewing it, it's like, is this winnable? Nobody on our team went A at any point. So the entire map would have just been a BC. The enemy didn't have a super strong presence out towards C that was easily crippled. However, the enemy, as you can kind of see, there's a lot of name tags near B. Like, the enemy was constantly funneling people towards B. And they were funneling towards B and pushing out. So, in that respect, controlling the mid-map around B was probably a higher part. Ah, the gun depression. That's where the gun depression annoys me yet again. I actually completely missed this leopard too, because I'm too tunnel visioned. This is... just looking back on this, I'm like, oh, this is painful. I'm like, you know what? F it. We're not winning if I just sit here. It's like, I'm like, does it make sense to run after him? Probably not, but we're not winning if I just sit here, so screw it. And we're like, oh, there he is. I was actually a little too low. I got lucky on the fuel explosion. Because it doesn't look like enough of the shrapnel, and I definitely see this Leo now. We're going to come behind him, except, spoiler, it won't matter. Like, I should have aimed higher on the 2S25. Or the 2S3. That is... he just explodes right as I'm about to get shot. I'm like, all right, cool. There, I'm like, all right. So here I'm like, well, we need B, straight up. So these are like right decisions too late is how I would characterize them. Like if I had done this a minute ago, I think the game is winnable. Or maybe not a minute, like 2 minutes ago. But even then, it's like, is the game winnable when you have so few teammates that are like contributing? It's like, it's always a good question of like, how much of this can you really affect? You know. Oh, here we see this guy. This is an awkward ass encounter. So I think I actually catch the sight of this guy like around here, where I'm like, oh, movement. But obviously, I don't have a stabilized gun. For some reason, I get lucky on that because this guy should have killed me. But he like stopped to fix his radiator and put out his fire instead of like trying to engage me. That shot was too low. I think I got lucky on that. Yeah, that was a lucky encounter. Like the first shot was, yeah. Like trying to use unstabilized tanks always kind of annoys me. But I mean, we're at 7 kills. We're about to get the B cap, but at the end of the day, we're so far behind on tickets it kind of doesn't matter. And it's like, if we did this 2 minutes earlier, is the game winnable? But if we do this 2 minutes earlier, there's more enemies at B cap, so... Yeah, if we do this 2 minutes earlier, there's more enemies, we die, we have to respawn. Is our respawn as productive? It's like... There's a lot of what-ifs going into determining if a game is ultimately winnable. Spoiler, this one is not winnable, or at least not with my current decision-making process. I was definitely too slow at several points. I was treating it like we had more time to work with, and our team had more map presence around B. And we did open it up a little, in terms of like our map presence, by just making that push out. So in retrospect, it would have helped a lot, especially because the enemy's primary strategy seemed to be just funneling to B. So, this is where we're like, okay, we're going to back up off the artillery, just because we don't want to get smashed by it. Random gun stray from the plane, sure. Here I'm like debating if it's the right answer to go for A, and then I realize the enemy's capping C. And, spoiler, the enemy does in fact cap C, so now we're back in a 2v1 scenario, and we're way behind on tickets. This is completely unwinnable. Yeah. But, you know, honest opinion of the viewer, I definitely think I could have played better, but even if you assume I have played better, having a good idea of the contribution of my team, do you actually believe that this game would have been winnable with better play? I'm not sure how that shell shattered. But, like, would this game have been winnable had I made more correct decisions earlier in the map? Is the ultimate question for the night, and I will leave you to ponder that. It's good old Tiran for us. I mean, 7 kills, no deaths, a zone cap. Like, I'll take it even on a loss, but I would much rather have the win. Have a fun day. Have a fun night, everybody.